Welcome to Basics in Leading a Yoga Class. I am Grace with Ecstatic Yoga. You can go to ecstaticyoga.studio for more information about our teacher trainings. This is a very important class that will build confidence for you to begin leading yoga classes with ease and with grace. These suggestions for leading a yoga class are logical, and you most likely already know many of them. However, we will review them to build confidence and ensure a flowing and powerful yoga class every time. There are many elements to leading a class that include preparing the space and the energy of the class. Things like being sure the temperature is perfect in the room, the lighting, making sure the environment is ideal, including any necessary atmospheric additions like candles, incense, or music. Making sure props are available. Making sure the room is clean and creating a prepared sequence for your class. All of this preparation will come together to create a powerful and magical experience for your yoga students. One of the most important elements of creating and leading a yoga class is to take 5 to 10 minutes for yourself prior to teaching your class to center yourself and ground yourself. And from that space of presence and peace, you are invited to create an intention for the class and to visualize the class with the outcome of your intention. In just taking those few moments to create your intention and visualize that intention manifested, you will be more empowered and the class will run smoothly and gracefully. Let's take this moment and I invite you to close your eyes for just a minute and we will create for yourself an intention for this class that you are taking. So gently closing your eyes, remembering that intentions are always positive and in the present moment. Create an intention for this class for yourself. Taking the time to come back, opening up your eyes, being alert. And we will go through the different aspects of leading a yoga class. I'd like to start with environment. You will want a clean space, clear of clutter and distraction. You may want to light candles or light incense or use essential oils to bring a meditative energy to the space. Some yoga instructors like to set up a small altar in the front of the room with a crystal or an inspiring picture. Some yoga teachers like to sage the room, cleanse the energy. You may want to bring a drum or guitar for your opening or your closing. You will want to have props like blocks, blankets, or if it's a restorative class, a bolster, eye pillows, and a blanket. The most important aspect of your environment is that the students feel safe, comfortable, and welcomed to the space and the class. It is suggested to greet students as they arrive and learn their names. Have your yoga mat in the spot you wish to start your class and have the room all set up and prepared before the yoga class is to begin, so you can be available to greet students in a present and centered fashion. Music. The music you choose will vary depending on the intention of the yoga class. If you are teaching a more yang class with the intention of raising the student's energy, you'll want faster paced, more active music, celebratory. If you are teaching a more yang class with the intention of raising the student's energy, it will be more faster paced and more active music. In a more yang class, music with words is often chosen, but not necessary. The key is to match the energy of the music with the vibration of the class, whether instrumental or with words. If you are creating a relaxing or more yin class with meditation and restorative postures, you will want peaceful, quieter music with a slower beat. Beats to match the heartbeat are ideal for relaxation. Instrumental music with a slow rhythm is often a great choice. However, there are many music selections with words and a slow-paced rhythm that will work just as well. It is suggested to use music with words and messages that also match the intention of the yoga class. Positive and inspiring messages are always recommended. Music with negative messages, heavy or dark, and is not recommended. With your music choices, bring energy and messages of peace, balance, inspiration, alignment, unity, wellness, relaxation, comfort, even celebration. Temperature. The temperature of a yoga room will vary depending on the style of yoga and intention of the class. More active or fitness yoga classes will want to have the room temperature a bit lower to keep the students comfortable during more rigorous, active postures. Yin, meditation, and restorative yoga classes will want to create a warmer room temperature for a comfortable environment for students to relax. When in meditation or in restorative practices, the body's core temperature can drop. Therefore, a warmer space will facilitate the relaxation, and students will not be distracted by the discomfort of a chilly body. During meditations, savasana, nidra, samadhi, or relaxation practices, it is especially important to keep students warm. Therefore, you may want to suggest in your class description for students to bring a blanket, sweater, socks, or whatever they may need to take care of themselves during the relaxation portion of the practice. Hot yoga is an exception, as all the hot yoga classes, whether yin or yang, are done in a heated room. Time. It is important to practice integrity by beginning and ending your yoga classes on time. This respects your students' time and the schedule of the studio you are teaching in. Beginning a yoga class with time. Sometimes one or two of your students are just not quite ready. Or there may be a latecomer or two that straggles in after the starting time of your class. You are in total integrity to begin your class on time, regardless if all your students are ready or not. Begin the class with an introduction and simple opening practices like centering through intention, body scans, and short meditation or pranayama. This opening time provides the students who are late and still settling in enough time to be ready when the asana posture part of the practice begins. Ending your yoga class in regards to time. It is important to end your yoga class at the time advertised. This is important for many reasons. First and foremost, it creates honesty, integrity, and respect. You are honoring rather than disrespecting or stealing others' time, and you are doing what you said you would do by ending your class on time. This builds trust between student and teacher. Also, many of your students will have other appointments after the yoga class. Maybe they have children to pick up at school, or medical appointments, or the need to get to work in the morning, or they're taking a lunch break yoga class and need to get back to work. If your yoga class goes over, it can affect the remainder of your students' day and possibly make them late to their next appointment. Even if you have not completed everything you wanted in your yoga class, the class you sequenced and created, if time is short, skip some of the asana poses so that you can end on time. It is more important to your students and the studio to be integrity with time than to stuff a lot of content and poses into your class. Savasana, ending in relaxation, is very important. It allows the body to integrate the benefits of the yoga class through deep relaxation. If you are running late with the choreography you created for your class, it is better to skip some of the poses and make sure you have at least 5 minutes in relaxation at the end of the class. Ways to lead your yoga class. There are 3 different ways: through example, through cueing, and through a combination of example and cueing. The first one is example. This is similar to a follow the leader style and the most popular form of teaching. With this form, you will be cueing the postures while you are also going into the posture yourself. For example, if you're cueing someone into Warrior One, you cue them, bring your feet to a wide stance. Bend the front knee so it is directly over the ankle. This is while you yourself are bringing your feet to a wide stance and bending your front knee to align over the front ankle. The one important thing you need to remember while leading by example is to not get too absorbed in your own practice. You want to be there for your students while you're also getting into the postures and cueing. Keep an eye on your students throughout the practice and make sure they are all following along and they all feel supported. Cueing only. This is when you do not get into the postures yourself, but only cue the students verbally through the postures and breath practices. Students usually appreciate the instructor modeling the postures for them, so this isn't the most optimal way. However, cueing alone can work very well and allow the yoga instructor to be more observant of the students. Our third way is a combination of example and cueing. This may be the optimal way to teach. You can prompt students through the postures by example, yet also get out of the pose from time to time and walk around the room while continuing to cue verbally. This is especially helpful when you are cueing ways to deepen a pose and if you want to adjust students during the practice. We will get into adjustments in more depth in analytics. Class structure. This is a suggestion only for a class structure, and it includes 5 sections: centering and opening, warm-ups, asana, releases, and relaxation and closing. Centering and opening is usually seated, yet it could be supine or standing. And during our centering and our opening, we usually welcome students to the class, introduce ourselves, and we can begin with simple things like a body scan, inviting them to close their eyes and go inward. A short meditation, setting an intention, and simple body work like breath awareness or 3-part yogic breath. And then we want to move into warm-ups. It's good to warm up the body before we go into some more rigorous movements. So we begin with some gentle movements, moving the spine, the neck, doing some sun salutations. And the next section is asana. That is standing, balancing, inversions, twists, seated, supine, and prone postures. This is the meat of your class. And then we will move to releases, which is releasing the spine and preparing for relaxation. And lastly, relaxation closing. This would include savasana, meditation, yoga nidra, or samadhi. Time suggestions for 60-minute classes would be 5 minutes for your opening and centering, 10 minutes for warm-ups, 30 minutes for asana, 5 minutes for releases, and 10 minutes for relaxation and closing. Time suggestions for a 90-minute class would be 5 minutes for centering and opening, 15 minutes for warm-ups, 45 minutes for your asana, and 10 minutes for releases, and 15 minutes for your relaxation and closing. So let's begin with each of these 5 sections and to go into a little bit more detail and depth. For your centering opening practice, this is when you want to create presence, inner focus, intention, mindfulness, and control the breath. It is optimal to begin the class with an opening practice to help students center inside and connect to their inner being. The opening practice is to assist students to transition from the busy world and life circumstances to the presence and peace of the yoga practice. Body scan. Guide students to the present moment by inviting them to scan their body, to go inward and notice sensations inside their bodies, to feel their body connected to the earth, inviting students to bring their attention inward, noticing the inner energies, the emotions and sensations within them. It is important to guide your students to feel the inner energies and emotions of the body rather than intellectually labeling the emotions or sensations. Body scan is all about feeling and sensing, not labeling and intellectualizing. Creating an intention for the yoga class. Invite students to create an intention for the yoga practice, a personal intention for themselves in their own life. It could be for the class itself, could be an intention for that day, for that week, for the year, or it could be a lifetime intention. It's their choice. Invite your yoga students to create their intention in the positive. For example, rather than saying, I am no longer at this job I dislike, which is very negative, use a positive statement like, I am in the career of my dreams. I love my job. Also, if you haven't already noticed, intentions are most powerful in the present tense rather than the future tense, because the mind takes things literally. So rather than, I will be at my ideal weight by the end of this year, you could state instead, in the present, I am at my ideal weight. I love my body and the way I feel in my body. Trick the mind by saying it in the here and now. Breath. It is often a beautiful opener to the class to invite students to rest in breath awareness for a few moments, or include a simple centering pranayama like belly breath, abdominal breathing, or 3-part yogic breath. We'll move into the second part of a class, and that would be warm-ups. This is about breath and simple movement, range of motion, warming up the joints, and simple spinal movements. Beginning the yoga practice with gentle movements to allow the body to warm up and become ready for more effort-based and active postures. Creating movements with the breath and simple spinal movements are wonderful for warm-ups. Simple movements like pelvic grinds, neck rolls, side stretches, and some examples of gentle movements to open, awaken, and warm the body up. Also, sun salutations are a great way to warm the body up by providing a variety of gentle types of spinal movements. In the sun salutation, you invert in forward fold and down dog. You strengthen the back in cobra and up dog. You flex and extend the spine. And our third part of our yoga class is our asana, the meat of the class. And this builds some strength, spinal movements, flexibility, balance, flow, repetition, counter poses. You will spend the longest time segment in the asana portion of your practice. Postures are chosen depending on the intention of your practice, and it can include standing postures, balancing, inversions, twists, back bends, and seated postures. Asana practices often include a variety of the above types of postures for a well-rounded class. However, specialty classes like a class on twists or a class on balancing poses are popular and helpful as well. Yet even when specializing, we will want to add a few other types of poses and counter poses into the practice. In teaching a yoga class, it is good to create the class ahead of time, especially specialty classes, so you can allow easy transitions from one posture to the next. Creating flowing transitions allows students to maintain a flowing space for the mind, body, and spirit. It is often best to group the poses. For example, all of your standing poses together. Then transition to balancing postures or seated postures. If a student is in a standing pose, then guided down to the floor and back to a standing pose, unless they are flowing together like up dog and down dog. Shifting from the floor and back to standing doesn't often flow. It is better to lead the class into a sequence of standing poses, then transition to a sequence of balancing or floor poses. When moving into the transition from floor to standing or standing to floor, it helps to bring in transition postures like forward folds, wide leg forward fold, chair, down dog. For example, you could be in a star pose, standing posture, and want to bring your students down to the floor. You can guide them now, all your students, into wide leg forward fold. Your legs are already wide with star. All you need to do is guide your students to bring their hands to their waist and hinge forward from the hips into wide leg forward fold, bringing their hands down to the floor. This creates a flowing transition to the floor, and then you can guide your students onto their hands and knees and move gracefully into cat-cow posture. And now you're into your floor sequences with ease and grace. In creating your sequencing, it is important to create counter poses, especially for back bends and twists. Counter pose for bridge, back bend, is to bring the knees to the chest to release and relax the lower back after a deep back bend. Counter pose for a deep twist to the right is a gentle twist to the left before you go deeper into a deeper twist to the left. After a long inversion, you will want to bring the head upright in a relaxed mountain or easy seated pose. Repetition is often a great way to create tapas or heat in the body and build strength and endurance for your students. Whether repeating poses in the sun salutation a few times, a warrior flow, or seated flow, repetitive flows can be a graceful and enjoyable way to bring strength, flexibility, and flow mind, body, and spirits. It is often recommended to end your asana portion of the practice with a few simpler, easier poses to begin the warm down process. Some examples are supine spinal twist, happy baby, one of my favorites, or child's pose. Our fourth part of our yoga practice is our releases. This is where we balance the spine, release tension in the spine and lower back. We slow the breath and ease the student into relaxation. There are many ways to release the spine and lower back. We teach the following releases to ease into the Savasana portion of the practice. We will go into the mechanics and analytics of the releases in our analytics class. Supine cat-cow, hula, hip pointers, double knee down twist, single knee down twist. Releases are done slower than the asana poses. They are done slowly and mindfully to prepare for relaxation. Breath is natural yet deep and slow. The theme of releases is to slow down and create a deep state of body awareness and mindfulness. Slow the body down, release any tension, quiet the mind, and flow gracefully into a deep integrative savasana, or whatever style of relaxation you choose for your class. Savasana and relaxation is our fifth and last part of our yoga practice. This is about stillness, letting go, sinking into the self, integrating the practice is restorative. And whether you're doing a savasana, a relaxation, a yoga nidra, a guided meditation, or even a samadhi, this applies to all of these relaxation practices. Relaxation or savasana is important to the yogic practice, is as important to the yoga practice as the asanas and postures themselves. Because this is when the entire yoga practice is integrated into the mind, body, and spirit of the student. This is when you bring the benefits of the yoga class and integrate them deeply into the being. This is the time the physical body melts into deep relaxation and merges with the deeper self or soul presence. The origins of yoga over 5,000 years ago included only meditation and relaxation. No poses were practiced. A few thousand years after yoga was born, the yoga masters developed postures as a means to the end of finding deep relaxation, so the mind could enter into stillness easier, enter into deep meditation, and ultimately emerging with the soul, Atman, or higher self. The masters found that after some exercise and postures and movement, students could move into meditation and savasana easier. Therefore, please be sure to include your savasana and relaxation practice in every yoga practice. And if time is short, skip a few asanas or poses and be sure to include relaxation. And again, some of the forms of relaxation are savasana, yoga nidra, guided meditations, samadhi. We have classes on each of these for more details. However, the important part of relaxation is to allow the entire yoga practice to integrate in a space of deep stillness and relaxation. As a yoga instructor, you may wish to guide the students to tense and release the body from the toes to the head, or to the head to the toes. You may guide them through a visualization of them on a beach, or with light pouring through their body that melts all tension and allows for deeper relaxation. You may guide them to relax all the systems of the body. There are many ways to guide students into relaxation. However, after a few minutes of guidance in creating deeper relaxation, it is important to create a few minutes of silence for deeper integration. Always allow some time for complete silence, no words. The room has lights on, turn them off during relaxation or down. You might even want to close the blinds if there's sun coming through the windows. If you're using music, please turn off the music for this deepening into the inner silence. Outer silence assists inner silence. Once the silent stillness is over, this is a good time to bring your drum in or sing a chant or use your rattle for a few short moments if that is something you enjoy doing for your students. After a few moments of silence and optional chanting or drumming, it is best to gently guide students back with a soft, quiet, and comforting voice. Slowly guiding them back by inviting them to first sense their bodies, bringing your students back slowly, guiding them back by inviting them to first sense their bodies. Then invite simple body movements like wiggling their fingers, wiggling their toes, possibly yawning, gentle movements with their head back and forth. Then inviting them to engage in more movement by stretching their body out, stretching their arms, stretching their legs. And then inviting them to roll over to one side. I always allow them to choose which side is most comfortable for them to roll over. And to take a moment once they've rolled over to one side to allow that to integrate, noticing the shifts in the body fluids and the energy systems as they move their body from supine to on their side. And then inviting them to sit up in a seated position into easy pose. And at the end, once they're seated, you may add a little pranayama, like Nadi Shodhana or Samavriti, equal breathing, if you have time. And then this is a good time to invite them to revisit the intention they set at the beginning of the practice. And I also invite them to scan their body one more time and ask them to notice any differences as they scan their body. Any differences in the energy, the vibrations, the emotions. They feel more centered, more grounded. The emotions feel more settled. And if you have a drum or guitar or you want to chant at this time, you can do a short closing piece or short chant. It's a nice addition. Some people are musical and like to do that, or even read a poem or a short reading. And yoga classes traditionally conclude with an Om or Namaste or both. And it's nice to bring your hands in prayer position as you say your Namaste or any other hand mudra that you may enjoy. I often like to say the meaning of Namaste, and it's said in slightly different ways. But I honor the place in you in which the entire universe dwells. I honor the place in you which is of love, light, truth, and peace. When you are in that place in you and I am in that place in me, we are one. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me today for leading a yoga class. Hopefully you can confidently use these suggestions to create a welcoming space and a powerful practice for your students that lead your students to a healthier mind, body, and a deeper connection to their self, their soul, universe. Wishing you a most beautiful and most blessed day. Namaste.